you very much. Can you hear me okay? Is the mic carrying well enough? I could almost do this without the mic.
No,
It's
the
for
mic
the
is
camera.
just for the camera.
Is it good?
It's just for the
All
camera.
right. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, David Steinhof. In case you didn't hear it clearly the first time, I am from Fall River. I'm a dentist in Fall River. Thank you for introducing me, Tom. Actually, between the three of you, I think you've covered most every single point we could talk about tonight. So I just want to spend a moment introducing myself and what got me in the race. I am a dentist. I've been running a business for 20 years. I'm a conservative. I've been a Republican since as far back as dental school. I grew up a Democrat. Most people did in this state. Grew up as a Democrat, switched when I reached the age of reasoning, when I started to have to pay my own bills. Okay? And I am actually a proud Republican. I'm pro-small business, pro-free enterprise, pro-Second Amendment, and pro-life. I am a conservative all the way, ladies and gentlemen. And this is right. We want to have a good alternative when it comes time for the race. And I want to make sure we offer up a solid conservative to make sure Joe on one side and the conservative on the other. And that's what I'm hoping to deliver. What got me involved in this race, especially growing up in Fall River, I've lived in this district all of my life. Growing up in Fall River, I saw constant nepotism and cronyism in my city. People who ran the gambit as far as giving out jobs, using our own school system as a dumping ground to help out those people that helped get someone elected. And we've all been victimized by that same cronyism and nepotism. We've all seen friends of ours fail to be hired for those jobs, fail to be considered for those same appointments or approvals, because they're not part of that system. And that's what makes me tired. I'm tired of watching it, and I'm tired of watching my patients suffer at the hands of this administration and this economy. And there's no two ways about it. Are we ready to hire a new president?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for a new one. It's about time. I don't think we can tolerate another 4 years of the Barack Obama administration. And are we ready to put Scott Brown back in office? Are we ready to make sure he stays as senator? Ladies and gentlemen, I hope so. Go ahead, let me hear it. Don't fall asleep. Let me hear it. There you go. I hope you are, Mr. Stanley. What I'm hoping is that we're going to put two leaders down there from this state. We're going to show them this is the season of the conservative. And we're going to send another person down from Massachusetts along with Scott Brown. And I'll tell this right up front. If one of you prevail, this may sound defeatist, but whomever wins, I hope we will work together to make sure that person beats Joe Kennedy. I am not ready to coronate another Kennedy, and I hope you agree with me. We've had enough of that. England does a great job. Thank you. England does a great job of honoring their monarchy. Let them do it. It's a useless monarchy. We don't need a useless monarchy in this country. Let's forget about Joe Kennedy taking that seat. I had a person I ran up to the other day, speaking to them, and I'll tell you, Sean, there was a woman at one of these wine tastings that I went to. Her husband's a staunch conservative, and she admitted right up front that she's a Joe Kennedy supporter. She said, "Who are your challenges?" She hadn't met you yet, Doc. But she mentioned Sean. She said, "He's not got a lot of experience." I said, "Couldn't the same thing be said about Joe Kennedy?" And she started trying to answer that by describing all the experience he had amassed in his, 3 years working as a DA assistant. Thank goodness a waitress came and asked her what she wanted for wine, because it helped stop the whole conversation, just in time for her to realize how stupid she sounded. So hopefully we will be putting not just Scott Brown down there, but another Republican from this district. This district is going to be conservative. We're going to show Massachusetts, ladies and gentlemen, why we can turn this state around. So I thank you all very much. But thank you very much.
Other questions for Dr. Steinhof?
Yes, sir. By the way, I'm not stealing that Iron Man shirt, I promise.
How do you feel about drilling in America for oil?
I think there are safe ways to utilize our resources. And I think there are smart ways to utilize even resources such as coal. I believe in the environment. I spend weekends with my kids hiking. That's what we did yesterday, by the way. We went hiking again just to take a little breather from the campaign. I don't want to see our environment torn up, and I don't want to see it used as a bad excuse for clamping down on our resources. Brayton Point, I don't know if you're familiar with this now, guys, but the Brayton Point power plant is basically shut down after building a 1.4, this is in my hometown, well actually it's Somerset across the river, $1.4 billion towers to cool off and filter out the emissions. Those towers are now blocking the sunlight from a huge neighborhood right around them. It's horrible. But after building that, they cannot even run because the price of coal has been put up so high, it's no longer economical to keep that power plant running. So we're receiving our energy throughout that our whole section of the state down there from Manchester, New Hampshire, a natural gas plant. Now what's that going to do to natural gas and home heating? Eventually supply and demand rule out, and our prices are going to go up. That coal power plant was being made to run efficiently and clean, and they shut it down because of this war on coal. It's going to affect us all. It's going to hit our pocketbooks hard.
There are
Good
other
question,
questions?
though. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the doctor, Lynn?
So, I think most of the candidates for your seat have come from, you know, the more urban areas of your district. What do you see as a major difference between the Fall River and the district and the more urban areas?
Fall River is understandably a blue-collar town. We were textile mills. And driving through the district, I am seeing differences in demographics. We have a very high unemployment in Fall River. As reported, it's about 11.9%. We know that means it's closer to 16 or 17%. Now that we've got an honest statistic thrown at us lately in a long time. But that doesn't mean that Fall River can't come back. And that if given some of the programs, take away some of the assistance programs they are basically living on, and put jobs back in Fall River. I've seen these factories closed down one after another. A.J. Wright. I saw Genzyme closed down. These are places we need to target and try to get back on track. That was a big concern. The Meditech, because things weren't handled properly with regards to the historical part of it and the EPA, Meditech walked out on us because we didn't act quickly enough and get that resolved in time. We lost 800 jobs as a result. So Fall River suffers in large quantity. 40% of the people aren't even in work right now in Fall River, so it's a tough economy down there.
Do we have one more question, George, please?
Yeah, because you were mentioning energy, which is so important. The environment, and with Obama and the Environmental Protection Agency, they seem to want to shut down coal and oil wells and things like that. And we do need to go to places like in North Dakota where you could get, you know, where they could do fracking, where you could get oil up there, and parts of Alaska. And, you know, we're all for the environment, but Alaska's such a big state, and Anwar is the size of 2 airports. And there's no reason in some ways why they couldn't open up some federal lands for private development. I think that's something that's a little needed in our country.
George, I'm not even sure we have to go that far. Given new tests, new reports, there are more resources available than we ever dreamed possible before. We're sitting on as much natural gas as Saudi Arabia has oil. But we have other resources, and it may not be just that simple. But this administration seems hell-bent on breaking us down. Class warfare, Republican against Democrat, older people against younger people. It's a constant battle. And if we want energy and responsible prices, we have to be anti-environment. That's wrong. There is no reason for us to be driving around on $4 per gallon gasoline and be exporting it at the same time.
Terry, do you have a quick
Um,
question?
The district, in order for any Republican, any of the three of you to be able to win in this district, you have to appeal to not just independents, but the Democrats in this heavily Democratic district. And how would you propose to be able to attract to yourself?
I'll tell you a little something I've seen, and I bet the two of you have noticed this as well. Out shaking hands, getting signatures. There are a lot more conservatives than I had thought originally possible, especially growing up in Fall River. But when we were out in parades, meeting people, going to large functions, they are literally coming out saying, we want conservatives. Whether they're labeled as Democrats, independents, I'm telling you the truth, this is the season of the conservative, and we're going to bring this district back.
Excellent.